Hello everyone and welcome to Homunculus Gaming. I just thought I'd do a little update video on my thoughts on Torchlight 2 now that I've had some more time to invest in it and explore around the world. I find that I'm enjoying it a lot more now that I've spent more time in it, and it probably is that in combination with that I'm playing it at a much slower rate. So I do think that my first assessment on Torchlight 2 was correct in that it is a much more enjoyable and fulfilling experience if you don't just blaze through. It's one of those games you have to take a little bit at a time, at least for me. In the ARP genre, it's a lot and it's overwhelmingly repetitive when you're just doing the same thing over and over for hours. And if you just sit down for a small little bite-sized chunks amount of time and digest the game that way, it's much more entertaining and gratifying. When you start going through dungeon after dungeon and using the same moves over and over and over again, it becomes very tedious. You're just seeing the same animations and the same dungeons. You start to notice the reused textures, which isn't that much to the fault of the game. It is only a $20 game and not built by an extremely large developer. But I'm finding that a sort of nonchalant and indulgent attitude when it comes to ARPGs complements the game type and game modes much more than a high-stress, go-go-go kind of attitude. I've also been finding that playing on a higher difficulty is much more engaging than playing on a lower one where it's just hack and slash, everything explodes. Although exploding enemies are very satisfying and gratifying, when you're not being challenged consistently, it's very easy to become detached from the experience. I've also been finding that on higher difficulties your pet is more useful than on lower ones, and you become actually dependent on it to help you out in combat situations. You become much more aware of where it's running, what it's attacking, what it's doing, its statistics, rather than it falling under the quote-unquote breathing shopping cart syndrome that I mentioned in the first looking at. And after some more playthrough and post-analysis, I think that it might be worth, on your first playthrough, spend a good amount of time, a couple hours at least, with every single class, leveling them up and seeing what they have to offer and their mechanics before investing all your time in one specific class. I didn't mention this in the looking at, but I do really appreciate the diversity and distinct feels and abilities of each class. The developer didn't just throw together a bunch of homogeneous classes with similar abilities and mechanics and then call them different names. They all feel very unique and distinguished. But those are just some of my expanded thoughts on Torchlight 2 after spending a bit more time with it. I felt I should amend and elaborate on some of my thoughts on it and then link to this video from the initial looking at Torchlight 2 video. If you didn't see that video, I'll add an annotation on the screen and you can click on it and go straight there. As always though, thank you for watching. This was Homunculus Gaming and I'll see you next time.